Alright, welcome to the Go for StarCraft Monday Premium Cup, guys. It's our first game and first cast of the day. It's going to be a PvP, which, strangely enough, I haven't cast any PvPs in the last almost 2 weeks. I'm thinking on it. I think it's pretty much been TVZ, ZVP, but no PvPs. So, for once in a lifetime, I am incredibly refreshed and looking forward to this match. Let's see how it goes. Of course, in the northern location on Polar Night, we have spawning our blue Protoss player, ELFI, recently made teamless, but let's be honest, guys, he didn't need a team to be a god. His opponent towards the south, a player who is not too shabby himself. It's going to be the yellow Protoss player, METHIX. Now, of course, our hopes and underdogs and all these things are going in the favor of METHIX here. I wish I could tell you he's got a good chance of winning this game, but METHIX, while a talented player who I've seen tackle Koreans in the past, is going to struggle versus ELFI. There's a hashtag, ELFI is a god, for a reason. He is one of the better... honestly, you tell me PvP, and you ask me who's the best at it, two people come to mind instantly, ELFI and Welmu. Outside of that, there's a huge gap between who can handle their PvP, and ELFI is certainly one of the better ones out there. Now, granted, this is actually a best-of-1 scenario, and regardless of how good you are at any particular matchup, one small thing going wrong can cost you everything. It was actually, was it Jakshi, player we all know and love, hopefully by now, is a really talented channel player. We cast a lot here on Base Rate TV. He recently played, I believe it was Go for StarCraft last week, and in the first round, he lost against a Protoss player named Monty because he forgot stim back till the 16-minute mark. So, no matter how good ELFI may or may not be, objectively, you can make mistakes. And in weekly cups, well, it's not fun to do, but it can easily happen in the first round. Now, granted, professional players, they don't tend to mess up all that often, and when you do, it's kind of like a rare sighting, if anything. But for now, we'll see how ELFI ends up handling this game. Or I shouldn't really say that. We'll see how METHIX ends up handling this game. The interesting thing about Protoss, well, first off, let's talk about their gas counts. Both players full on gases at the moment, so we're going to see a little bit more than a quick expansion. The question, of course, is going to be, will one go for the Oracle, will the other one go for the Twilight tech? As that seems to be the case. Robo used to be the go-to, and I still feel in some cases, depending on the player, Robo is still kind of like your go-to. But this matchup has evolved a lot, and while I often do refer to this as being a bit coin flippy, and let's be honest guys, it objectively kind of is, Robo seems to have fallen out of favoritism as far as being the quick make. But we do have the Stargate coming here out of ELFI right away, and METHIX will scout this, which is actually fantastic for him, because he knows, really, there's only two things that come out of this early on. That's either the Phoenix or the Oracle. Nobody's going to rush Void Rays, and if they do, it's usually in a defensive fashion, because, you've got Stalkers at your doorstep. But METHIX, we'll see how he decides to react. Some players will throw down their own Stargate after seeing this, because a Phoenix will counter anything that comes out of that Stargate early on. An Oracle's hard enough to deal with as is. But with a couple Stalkers in the mineral line and the Twilight Council coming down, maybe it's going to be Blink, maybe it'll be Dark Templar, we'll find out shortly. METHIX should be able to hold against whatever ELFI sends out of this. Now, ELFI's actually elected to make Phoenixes first. This is actually, there's no math behind it, so I'm completely exaggerating when I say 5 times harder to hold than the Oracle is, because on one hand, the Phoenix can actually shoot the Mothership core, which is really irritating. So you have to burn your overcharge immediately or risk losing everything. Alternative to that, even if your Mothership core is safe and sound and the Phoenixes never find it, they're light units. Stalkers take forever to kill and chase down Phoenixes. They're so darn fast, even with Blink, which is necessary and on the way, it's not going to be easy. Now, luckily, Phoenixes are very limited on the damage they can do, based off of their energy for the Graviton Beam. Sorry, I almost forgot the ability name for a second. So this first one coming in may just look like a hallucination, but of course for METHIX, who scouted the Stargate, probably knows this is real. But still, one Phoenix is not a threat in the slightest. Actually, we'll snag a free probe kill in the middle of the map. I love that it lifts up the rocks underneath it too. Completely unnecessary, but just cool to see. But this is kind of the ultimate contain that ELFI is going to perform. So, the idea behind this, of course, is you get a couple Phoenixes out early. Oh, he even baits out the overcharge. Fantastic. I mean, he needed to do that, of course. But the idea is you get about 5 Phoenixes. It's always your magic number. No matter what the matchup is, if you got 5, you're safe and sound. ELFI may stick with 3, because 3 is what you do for harass and not an all-in. But if you go for 5, you're definitely looking to do that more contained style, where you don't want your opponent moving out for fear of losing his entire mineral line. I mean, these Stalkers are... they don't have quite a blink yet, so dealing is going to be difficult. Now, actually, interestingly enough, ELFI's adapted his strategy here to encompass basically the same follow-up, where instead of investing in 2 Phoenixes in order to kill an entire mineral line, he's investing in the Oracle. And, oh, slacking on that Phoenix control will cost him. No, just barely with 10 health, that Phoenix gets out alive. Not that that's a big deal, because right now for ELFI, he should, and he absolutely needs to be incredibly scared right now. First off, he's going to lose a Phoenix, which strips away so much control. Another Phoenix goes down, so that's even less crowd control he's going to have for a later fight. I mean, he's got a couple Immortals on the way, guys, but if you've only got like 1 or 2 Immortals against like 16 Blink Stalkers, they're just going to blink right on top of the Immortal, focus it down, and take it out of the fight right away. And part of what I was getting worried about there for ELFI is, like, even if you've only got 3 Phoenixes, guys, when it comes down to a straight-up fight, Stalker versus Stalker, where every unit is critically important, if you're crowd controlling 3 of them through the Graviton Beam, you don't even need to kill them. You just take them out of the fight temporarily. It's kind of like a stasis field from Brood War. Then all of a sudden, you're fighting a much smaller army. But, ooh, METHIX has nothing here. He's going to have to warp in, but I think his warp in might just be on cooldown as he warped in aggressively, so probes will die. 1 or 2 Stalkers coming in now. A little bit delayed, a little bit late, but unfortunately necessary, as this Oracle has racked up 8, 9, 10, almost 12. 12? 12 kills! 13! Oh, he suicides it, but he destroyed the worker count at METHIX, who, he's got 2 choices. One, he's already expanding and he knows ELFI's not. He can either fall back on this and try and out-macro his opponent, but with taking those losses, chances are he wants to be a little bit aggressive. Now, lucky for him, with Blink, he can get away from this this fight if necessary. We see actually some pretty good Blink control right off the bat. Doesn't lose any Stalkers, baits out the overcharge, but sees 3 Immortals. And 3 Immortals? What a joke. That's going to take out Stalkers like nothing. 1 volley plus a Stalker shot here and there. Mothership core. METHIX's Stalkers don't really stand a chance. Now, that was some really cool tactics. He blinked in and blinked out, or sorry, walked in and blinked out right away, but I mean, back at home, that worker count is really going to sting. He doesn't have advanced tech. What's impressive about this, and I'm not trying to like point out something small for the sake of small talk, but what is truly impressive about this is, you know, Immortals, they don't have a projectile. You can't juke the blink like you can like a Stalker or a Mothership Core or something silly. So he's taking these hits, but he's instantly reacting, so only 1 Immortal is actually hitting anything. Otherwise, we'd see Stalkers actually physically dying left and right. Oh, but back at home, even with these sentries and a couple Stalkers to defend, another Oracle comes back in. Now, he's not going to suicide this one, but ELFI baits out the overcharge once more, almost has the Stalkers going for this. Still trying to trace towards the natural. Oh boy, doesn't quite get another kill. A little bit troublesome. Does go down, thanks to that blink control here on METHIX. But even though he's got units in the middle of the map, there's nothing he can do. Against 4 Immortals, his army is, quite frankly, pathetic. There's just nothing METHIX can do or make right now. He's going for charge lots, which, granted, if they can connect to the Immortals, would be fantastic to have, but if we're going to be completely honest, guys, Stalkers aren't going to cut it. And it might be going for charge lots, but he doesn't have any Zealots actually physically on the map right now. All of his minerals are going into making these probes. The deficit that he lost earlier, trying to extend his lead right now. Awkwardly, both players pass each other on these watchtowers. So METHIX had just checked the left one. He goes to check the right. There's nothing there. He has no idea that ELFI's advancing forward. He will chase his Oracle back, but it might be all too late. The charge isn't even finished. These probes are going to need to run to the main, because if he tries to get them involved with the fight, there are Zealots here waiting. A Sentry's going to throw down a force field, and that's going to be nasty. Unfortunately, these probes are going to be sacrificed to the Helix Fossil God or some such shenanigans, but as we see, Stalkers just can't do it. He's got his own Sentries moving forward. He's going to try and force field off some of these Zealots, I would imagine. I would hope. Unfortunately, no force fields going down. Loses the Nexus. Not that he could have done anything to save that, but it's in a really terrible spot because ELFI now has secured his expansion. He's in no danger the same way METHIX is, and more importantly than this, he's got the army supply. Oh my god, he just recalled even. He's got the army supply to carry him through this game. METHIX is literally never going to catch up. So this push he's doing right now, you bet your ass this is desperation. I mean, we look at his vision. He knows his opponent's got an expansion up. He knows the army just escaped out full, free, and alive. There's nothing he can do about it. An Oracle tags the buildings in the main with some detection, or not detection, sorry, vision, but even then, what does it really matter? The overcharge, actually, is this the same one from earlier, or is this brand new? Did he get scared? He must have gotten spooked when that Oracle came in, so coming across the map full bore. Okay, so the way I see this going for METHIX, if you can get a couple good force fields, segment the Immortals, and only fight like, say, 2 Immortals at a time instead of 6, then he can maybe take this fight. but I don't know if he's got enough sentries to do that. So he does segment off 2 immediately. Fantastically handled their other METHIX. He's blinking like crazy, showing off that micro that he can get to work so fantastically well. Gets the mothership core as well, but the overcharge alone is going to be too much. There's not a lot of energy. In fact, there's no energy left, no sentries left. ELFI did focus fire those down. So now it's just primarily Stalkers versus a hell of a lot of Zealots and Immortals, and quite frankly, guys, this isn't looking good. If you got enough Zealots in your army, they're just that meat shield. Like, that's all they need to be. They don't need to deal damage. METHIX, of course, has his own charge done on these Zealots. He didn't cancel the tech. He did finish it. So, curiously enough, still not investing in any Zealots yet. Once that Colossus comes out, though, guys, that could just be game. There's not going to be that Thermal Lance issue where it's like range versus no range. It's just simply going to be a raw army fight. Now, he goes in to focus down the Immortals. I'm not sure I love this choice. He's going to get, oh, barely, not quite 2 of them. Does get 3 Immortals by the looks of it, but at the sacrifice of almost all of his Stalkers, ELFI retains 12 Zealots to the 4 of METHIX. He's going to have a Colossus out in just well, quite frankly, a jiffy, as there's no better way to phrase this, and this is looking pretty grim for a Yellow Protoss player who has made no effort to expand behind this because he knows, like, it's got to be all or nothing at this point. So focusing on the Immortal, going to try and do what he can. Going to need to blink forward to get on top of this Colossus and get away from those Zealots, but instead retreat. So in this final desperate hour, he's doing what damage he can. He's poking, he's trying to use his range to his advantage, but will that be enough is going to be the big question because, as we see, those Zealots can soak quite a few hits from these Stalkers, and this is just not looking good for METHIX. There might not be more Immortals behind this, but even though the Colossus has no bonus damage, it still deals a ton. Good game, well played, and good luck. So, a good sport is METHIX, and ELFI will continue in the Go for StarCraft brackets.